What's going on, guys? It's Mike for Sim Racing 604. Welcome back to Assetto Corsa, and welcome to VRC's Formula NA. So the NA, not to be confused with naturally aspirated, because this is not a naturally aspirated engine. This is the Formula North America, again brought to you by VRC. VRC, for those not familiar, is a modding team that has, built a name around both retro and modern Formula One cars, and have made some of the best F1 cars available to date for Assetto Corsa. And they've shifted their focus to this, the Formula NA, which is very obviously built on the sort of parameters and specs of a 2012 IndyCar. So what you're looking at here is a modern Formula One car housing a 2.2 liter turbocharged V6. So not too dissimilar in terms of the core engine of a Formula One car, but without some of the sort of modern twists, shall we say, to the engine, i.e. the hybrid system that Formula One is now famous or infamous, depending on your perspective, for. So, one of the things I really appreciate about IndyCar, before we actually start talking about this mod, but one of the things I really appreciate about having an IndyCar in Assetto Corsa now is the fact that it is very much a driver's car, and you'll never hear me badmouth Formula One, especially the technology behind it. It's, one of the most amazing, mind-blowing technological marvels to me is the fact that they can squeeze over 1,000 horsepower, that is, out of a 1.6 liter engine. And this IndyCar has gone a similar path, as I said, with a turbocharged V6 engine, but what they have not done is added the hybrid system. So this is very much a driver's car series. There's not the reliance on technology, and for Assetto Corsa or any other sim, what is really fun about an IndyCar is you can get in and just kind of punch it and go. You're not worried about maintaining your battery levels. You're not worried about your DRS, your deploy or your recharge levels for your MGUK, MGUH, things like that. You're just focused on tire management, fuel management, and pushing the car to the absolute limits. And performance-wise, it is fast as a bullet. It is really a lot of fun. They get the most out of that. You're looking at a 1-to-1 power to weight ratio, 740 kilograms and 740 horsepower, thereabouts. So, what has VRC done with it? And, we've talked about why it's significant, why I like it, because again, it's a little bit more simple, and you're, again, not trying to manage a whole bunch of systems. You're just sort of focused on driving the actual car. So VRC has done a wonderful, wonderful job of bringing this to us in the sim world. I've been a very open supporter of the kart mod for Automobilista. I think it's phenomenal, and I've driven this on a few sort of warm-up laps, and I can tell you it is fantastic as well. Let's kind of look at some details here. The level of detail VRC has thrown into this thing is absolutely incredible. You can just see the finest details that they've bothered to put in there. If we go up top, look at the pull out a bit. Maybe we can see it, maybe we cannot. But anyway, the exhaust system, very nicely done up top there. We can see even the top mount camera of this thing. The wings are in just tremendous, tremendous detail. And let's quickly jump into the cockpit here. So a much simpler steering wheel than you would see in Formula One, in that you don't have a screen there. You've got your LED indicators for your RPMs, and then your gear indicator at center, paddle shifters as we would expect, and again, comparatively simple interior, comparatively simple driving car, but a pleasure to drive nonetheless. And this is actually one of two mods they have brought us as part of the Formula NA package. This is the 2012 spec IndyCar, and they have also included a 1999 spec car, and we will look at that in a brief moment. But you can just see all the way down to the calipers on the brakes. They have done every last bit of detailing on this car, and you can see the realistic look of that tire, even blown up on my screen. It just looks absolutely amazing. So amazing job visually, and again, it drives phenomenal. And we'll get in and take a look and listen to it very soon. But for now, this is the Formula NA 2012 from VRC, and let's quickly take a look at the Formula 1999. Alright guys, so back in the showroom here with the Formula NA 1999. So this is going back, of course, to the late 90s at the kart and IndyCar split. And so these are actually the cars I grew up watching. The IndyCar series would come to Vancouver where I lived. And I actually got to see these things roaring through the streets of Vancouver, so it very much had, I guess the word is indelible, an indelible mark on my life, and made me a true racing fan. So I can't tell you how excited I am to have this available to me in Assetto Corsa. It's it's housing a single turbo V8 engine and pumping out north of 900 horsepower, probably closer to 950 at full turbo. There is adjustable turbo in the car and makes it anywhere from a very benign feeling open wheel car to a absolutely insane feeling open wheel car. They've given us in showroom view a wing adjustment. This is the road going version. There is actually two versions of each car, road going and an oval, and so this is the road version, and the flap, as you can see, is adjustable with the space bar just for aesthetics. Yeah, just a phenomenal looking car along with the 2012. The visual styling along with the sound in this car is out of this world. VRC has really outdone themselves. In my opinion, this is on par with the best they have ever done. Let's quickly zoom in on this wheel. It's probably only me that cares about this, but this actually looks so nice that I had to take a picture of it for my Instagram account. I just can't get over that level of styling and the realism. Even up close, it just looks absolutely fantastic. So once again, hats off to the team at VRC. They just absolutely outdid themselves. It's unbelievably nice. Let's quickly take a look at the cockpit here. So by comparison, a much simpler steering wheel. They've gone with mono, again skirting the copyright infringement there. Instead of going with Momo, they went with mono, and I think that's a perfect call. Rather than pay for licensing, just go with something that looks like the real brand, but why pay all that licensing fee? And I like the sequential stick shift here, nicely done. And very simple LCD display there. So I cannot wait to get this thing out on track. I've driven a few kind of warm-up laps in this thing, and it's everything I could have hoped it would be. So this is the Formula NA 1999. Without further ado, let's get out there on track and test drive it. Alright guys, so here we are trackside at Road America in the Formula NA 2012. Quickly take a look at the tuning adjustments here. 6 gears to play with, including the final ratio there. Tires, we have two compounds, an A and a P. I don't know actually what those letters stand for, but a soft and a hard compound. We have 4 PSI adjustment on each of the 4 tires. 18 front, 17 rear by default. We will leave fuel. Defaults to 20 on up to 70. We'll leave it at 20 liters there. Aero, of course, front and rear wing adjustments. I have it turned up slightly for Road America. Alignment, camber and tow. Drivetrain, we have differential adjustments, of course. Generic, we have some brake adjustments as well as a steering assist adjustment. And then a lot of suspension adjustments you can play with there. So let's get out there on track, and we'll do an out lap, and then we'll try and turn a decent lap here. Whoops, forgot my clutch. It's very slow out of the box with no clutch. And so you saw me already losing grip there. That's one thing about this car. You can't just get in and hammer it. It's not a GT car. It of course requires a little bit of finessing. By no means would I consider this car impossible to drive. It's not a terrible learning curve, but there is definitely a learning curve. You just got to be kind of easy on your throttle on corner exit. Other than that, you should be fine. Nice and easy through that corner there. Again, not much temperature in the tires yet. And the steering is very, very responsive, incredibly responsive actually. That's probably the biggest takeaway from this car, is that you just kind of point the nose and that's where this car is going. I can't think of many more cars in my Assetto Corsa repertoire that quite feel like this actually. It's incredibly responsive. You feel like you sort of own your mistakes. If you miss an apex, well, that's on you. It's not the car getting crazy on you. Alright, decent temperature already. Usually it takes me 2 laps to get up to temp, but this one actually feels kind of warm already, so we should be away. Aiming for kind of a mid 147. And that one not off to a great start. Missing apexes left, right, and center. We may require a 3rd lap. Perhaps the tire is not quite up to temperature as I had hoped. And a bit early on the braking there. Still learning the car. You saw me have to counter steer slightly there. And the brakes are actually up to temperature much faster than I thought. You saw me twice already on this lap brake too early. And yeah, I think we're going to go one more. I don't think this will be a 147. I think we're actually going to be up in the low 148, so we'll see if we can improve upon that slightly. .147 too. Okay, that was better than I thought, but I think we got a little bit more. That curb really upset the car. That was not an easy corner. I don't know how it looked, but really had to fight staying on the edge of traction there. It's just a wonderful car to drive, though. You can, for the most part, catch your slides. And again, that steering is just incredibly, incredibly responsive, so you feel everything. Certainly a tip of the hat, dude. Whoa, to VRC for this wonderful addition to Assetto Corsa. Make sure you get out there and support these guys. And again with the early braking. So up about 0.6 seconds, so we will be down into the 146s here. And a wonderful, wonderful car. A lot to love about this Formula NA 2012. let's quickly jump into the Formula 1999 and give that one a run. Alright guys, so here we are, trackside, Road America Formula NA 1999, and let's quickly have a look at our adjustments here and tuning options. Gears, 6 gears to play with. Final drive ratio can be set to about, I think if we just widen out the final ratio alone, get up to theoretically 388 kilometers an hour. Unbelievable. Tires, usual adjustment. We got 5 psi this time to play with, unlike the 4 of the previous, the 2012. Soft compound, hard compound. Fuel load, starting with 32 liters by default, on up to 132, actually sorry, it's 30 by default, I dialed it up slightly. 132 liters is your maximum fuel load. Electronics, we have turbo. I like to start out on my outlap of about 30 and dial it up from there. Front and rear wing set quite high by default for this road kit setup. Alignment, camber and tow, drivetrain, your differential adjustments, generic. This time we're adding a engine limiter to the generic adjustments, and then a lot of suspension adjustments, not quite as many as the 2012, but quite a few to play with there. And then some visual adjustments. You can see this mini display, which we can toggle on and off, kind of a cool sort of secondary light system. And then the turbo snorkel, I've yet to find the turbo snorkel on this thing, but eventually I will find it. Let's get out there and drive. So, as I mentioned, I like to set my turbo to about 30% by default for the outlap, because when you get into 50% and above, you really start to feel that turbo pull, and it's quite a lot for new tires. And peak power comes very late. Peak power comes somewhere in the mid 14,000 RPM range. So it's quite high for this engine. With the turbo dialed to full, the engine does take a real beating at high RPM, so you just got to be careful with it. Not dissimilar to the Lotus 98T. And I'll show you something here that I noticed in my sort of break-in laps. So I'm flat out here, up into 5th gear, still flat out. And at 30% turbo, we don't have the power to even reach our final gear. We still have 6th gear to go. We're not even redlining 5th. So just amazing that the difference in power that turbocharger makes. Alright, so we're done our outlap, so we'll dial up the turbo to 70%, and it's a handful at 70. Up into 6th gear for the first time. And 285 to 90 kilometers an hour as we brake all the way down into 2nd gear. Whoop. This car doesn't have quite the response, quite the steering response of the 2012. No surprise that 13 years of engineering made the car more responsive. And as you recall, I wasn't able to use 6th gear last time, but already I'm up into 6th gear on this long flat out section. And the best is yet to come. Next lap we will do 100% turbo, and you will know the meaning of fear. There's 100% turbo, and watch this speed. 290, past 300 kilometers an hour, 310, 315. You can hear it whistling back there. And again, the engine doesn't like this one bit. Just absolute breakneck speed here. And we'll see what we can do for speed down this long flat out section. Fighting and keep it on. 300, 310, 315, and braking hard down into second gear. And incredibly responsive, this car. Wow. I could feel just the very edge of traction there. At a 146.3, so faster than the 2012. Woo, what a drive. What a drive. Look, guys, this is a no-brainer. VRC has absolutely hit this one out of the park. This is a phenomenal, phenomenal mod, both the 1999 and the 2012. Just great, great cars. So, can't recommend it enough. Well done to VRC. Link to the purchase will be in the description to this video. Thanks, guys, for watching, and we will see you next time. on.